Breaking news in the fight over Trump's tax returns. Lawyers for Deutsche Bank confirming the firm holds tax returns relating to subpoenas for Trump, his companies, and his immediate family members. The bank will not publicly confirm exactly who those returns belong to, claiming that would reveal specific details about how its customers conduct business. It is the latest twist in House Democrats' legal battle to get Trump's financial records. In fact, late last week, judges clashing with Deutsche Bank lawyers on this very issue.
Does the bank have tax returns of any of the named people or entities?
Your Honor, given contractual obligations and other legal obligations, that's unfortunately not a question that we're able to address. The bank has contractual...
What privilege are you asserting?
The bank has contractual obligations to its clients related to confidential...
Do you think you can contract away the opportunity to answer a court's question without a privilege such as the Fifth Amendment or something comparable? You can just say, we told our client we won't do it?
So the judge is clearly skeptical of Deutsche Bank's argument, but it even got more heated.
I'm not asking you for the content of them at all. I'm asking you, do you have them?
Even just answering that question, I think, could run afoul of...
You think it could?
Yeah, Your Honor. We're not in a position to answer that question based on the relevant statutes.
If we want to answer that question, we go to a court and seek an order?
Well, we'd be happy...
I'm serious.
The judge is, in fact, serious, and so is Congress. In fact, last week, the lawyer for Democrats in this case revealing that they are investigating, quote, massive amounts of Russian money, including possible money laundering. I'm now joined by David Enrich, New York Times finance editor, who is writing a book about Trump's relationship with Deutsche Bank, and Maya Wiley, a former civil prosecutor in the Southern District of New York. David, let's start with you. First of all, you've been investigating this. When you look at what the news came out today, what do these filings realistically tell us?
Well, the bottom line here is that we now know, beyond any doubt, that Deutsche Bank is sitting on a vast trove of Trump's personal and corporate financial records, not just his tax returns, but all sorts of other corporate records going back over the full scale of the bank's 20-year relationship with him. These tax returns themselves, it's unclear how useful those are going to be. My understanding is that the bank has kind of the first summary pages, so the first 2 or 3 or 4 pages of tax returns for a number of different years. And so it's unclear to me how useful that actually is going to be. It's certainly not as useful as if you had all the schedules attached and all of the minute detail, which is where I know Democrats and certainly a lot of journalists have been for years now dying to get their hands on.
Yeah, so to that point, how does this, Maya, help the Democrats in their legal cases? They continue to piece more information if, in fact, as David was saying, that it's not the full scope of the tax returns with all the schedules and how comprehensive or extensive it is. What, if anything, does this change in the game?
Well, I think there are actually 2 issues here. So one is, of course, the more information Democrats can get, the more likelihood they're able to identify whether there are other sources or other people they should be subpoenaing records from. So that's one reason why investigators, in this case Congress, would want the most information they can get around his tax returns. I agree with David around how much information they're really going to get is an important question. But the other is the legal issue. The Trump administration has taken, first of all, Donald Trump himself has taken a very aggressive and legally weak argument that essentially says, this is just a political attack on me, and I have a right to privacy despite holding the most powerful chair in the country.
Yeah, you bring that up, and let me play this for you really quickly because you brought up his reaction to all this. He's been extremely defensive about it. Watch what he said in the past.
Maybe I'm going to do the tax returns when Obama does his birth certificate.
If I decide to run for office, I'll produce my tax returns, absolutely.
What is your tax rate?
It's none of your business. You'll see it when I release.
You don't release your returns until the audit's complete. When the audit's complete, I'll do it. My tax returns against my lawyer's wishes. When she releases her 33,000 emails, I became president. No, I don't think they care at all.
Why is he so defensive, to the point that you were making, his defense? Why is he so defensive about his tax returns?
So we've heard several things so far that suggest reasons he might be defensive. One, for example, is New York Times reporting about how much money he has lost. I mean, there is certainly the factor of running on being an excellent businessman with perhaps a financial record that shows you're not. Mm-hmm. The second is implications in whether he's overstating earnings, overstating deductions, implications about whether he's actually committed tax fraud, for example, or insurance fraud for that matter. I mean, Michael Cohen got up and said he did these kinds of things all the time and suggested that might be a problem. But third, and this is where the counterintelligence point comes in, right? The Counterintelligence Committee also wants this information because Robert Mueller all but confirmed counterintelligence investigation of the FBI. Not that surprising. Lots of reasons to suspect there might be ongoing investigations of some form. Deutsche Bank is the bank that has been in bed with Russia for a long time, and it is one of the only banks that would lend money to Donald Trump. So if you want to understand whether or not Russia has any leverage over Donald Trump, that's a good place to look.
All right, so I feel like we have the perfect guest to answer that question for us. You've been looking at the relationship between Donald Trump and Deutsche Bank for the past 20 years. Without giving away all of the reporting, unless you want to give away the key nugget of what you've found, tell us a little bit about this relationship. Why has it become the focal point, as Maya was saying, in this three-way nexus between Russia, Deutsche Bank, and Donald Trump?
Well, as she said, Deutsche Bank is the only mainstream bank that has been willing to touch Donald Trump consistently for the past 2 decades. And it's also one of the only mainstream banks in the world that has been deep in bed and in hock with the Russian government and with Russian banks tied to the Kremlin and with people very close to Putin. So that, most generous explanation is that it's an incredible coincidence. But the reality is, based on the reporting we've done, there are people inside Deutsche Bank, in the compliance department and in the anti-money laundering parts of the bank, where they were seeing suspicious stuff with Jared Kushner's accounts, with Donald Trump's accounts, and people repeatedly tried to blow the whistle, and their concerns were overruled because the bank was so desperate to keep making money off of these very lucrative clients. Donald Trump clearly is very eager to keep his finances secret. Right. The bottom line is we don't quite know why, but it's clearly for some reason, and I think sooner or later we're probably going to find out.
Yeah, we'll see if, in fact, these Democrats in the House Judiciary Committee will find out. Maya Wiley, David Enrich, thank you both very much.
Hey, I'm Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.